I use this Buddha board behind me, kind of like when people write in guidance, like automatic writing, or just journaling themselves, or using it for art. And I just finished really crying. It would call it golden tears. I have clairaudience. And as I just rest in silence, because I had a visit with my son and it didn't go over well. My son was not him or himself. He's a beautiful human being. And on the board it said, it's not your fault and it's not his fault. While I was sitting here, I did feel energy come in. And I just was so upset when he left. A spirit told me that there are those that may bear judgment upon him, or they do, because of his tattoos. I too have tattoos. For some reason unknown to me, other than what he said, his love for us at the time, which I know he still does. He got my name on his left, and maybe it's because my dad was a lefty, I don't know, and his father's name on the right. When people get tattoos, they usually get it in memory of someone. So, for example, my very first tattoo reminded me of my mom who passed back in 2003. And the spirit told me, a divine source, that they bear judgment upon him. When they see the names, they think it's lives he's taken. Now, there may be those that do. I don't know. I've never heard such a thing. I do know people get tattoos in memory of those they love, whether of the living or whether those that have died. To bear judgment at all is excruciating. To nitpick others, to be nitpicked, is abuse. No means no. No means no. No means no. Before he came, I was just giving my dog a bath. Everything was great. Before that, I was on the phone helping someone else with something. It was great. He came in with this energy. I guess it's been locked down for a very long time and forced to come out. He was not him or himself. I wasn't even me or myself. I don't even know where to go from here. Partly I want to recluse and not talk to no one, because there've been some devilish people around playing trickery with people's lives. Most don't understand this, but there are a lot that do. when you affiliate or associate yourself with certain information, you become part of that in a way of the knowledge base of who you are as an essence of a human being. So let's just say you're studying to be a dentist. Well, then you are a dentist. You're studying to be a doctor. Well, then you are a doctor. You're studying to be a service member in the military, frontline, a nurse, anything. I mean, even those people that are homeless, it takes work. And I couldn't help but feel this pain and this compassion as my son shared a story about a woman. And I didn't get to tell him until later in so many words, like, we just have to be humane human beings, no matter who it is, because there is a lot of people that may appear to be sick and they're not. I know, appear to be homeless and they're not. Appear to be someone who's gang affiliated and they're not. Who are we all to bear judgment upon one another and think we know each other in the manner that we do from our own experiences? I pray for hope. I pray for peace. I pray for truth in a way. And it does come to me. You know, I keep saying I don't have to prove anything to anyone. And I found myself today crossing a line to prove something, to show that I'm not insane, to prove that, yes, I've been stalked, to prove, yes, that certain things happen, and to be cautious and careful of myself and who I affiliate and associate with. Some people, they don't even care about an outcome of your reaction, how your reaction may cause excruciating pain and suffering. We're all learning. There are people doing things in this city that I live in that's so beyond unethical. And I'm talking beyond preceptors, like people get killed in different ways. They die by suicide because they're tortured and tormented. There's people that are put on SSRs where they're not them or themselves, and then the next thing you know, they're really talking out loud to themselves. They're feeling suicidal. Things happen to them that are out of the ordinary. Those are amongst the specially gifted that have abilities. I mean, I've spent thousands and thousands of dollars myself, and it's not to escape mental health. I've worked in it long enough. But trust me, there are those out there that do not want you to know. For example, picking up an item that somebody else might have picked up before and reading that item and knowing. Now, I don't cross the line with that. I don't know how it is, but my spiritual guidance source team, however you want to call it, people have many different names for it. Whether it's in the cosmos, whether it's in the ethers, whether it's in the universe, whether it's here on planet Earth in a tangible way with Father Sky and Mother Earth, whatever it may be. Everybody has experiences. And who are we to take that away and place judgment upon them because of it? It's about control, placing people in a box. It makes them feel better that way. It's taking away their self-esteem, their self-worth. People trap in their minds in ways of the thoughts of what they're going to say or how they're going to And then they come out with things and they're not even them or themselves. Like they literally, I've had that before. I've spoken of this, and you can't lock me up in an asylum or put me away for this. There are those. And I've been in a situation where a guy who has served time, his brother, I don't know why they keep saying father, his brother was dying in the hospital from a snowmobile accident. And he said, in the prisons, there are people that can hijack other people's energy. It's a different form of earthbound spirits, possess people. They attach. They're nasty, dark spirits that haven't crossed and did their thing because of fear, amongst other things. Hijacking, walking in, that when people walk in, okay, they're maybe not as evil, but they're doing it more to gain fame, to access people's records without their permission. It's still evil. But the monsters that hijack you, where you're coming out and saying words and you're like, you're not even thinking, you're unconsciously aware. You're saying things and doing things, you are not you or yourself, and you're looking like a fool. Or they get in your head and you truly believe something because they'll put it like a recorder in your head, that this is what really happened. And then they'll have somebody else confirm with somebody else that it really happened and it didn't. It's crazy stuff. They call it puppeteering. It's like having a conversation with, there's 3 people. And the one person interprets that maybe that one person took all that information, like that one person was the only one with them and the other one wasn't there. It's crazy. But it's not, because that is how this trickery. Oh my God, I think about people like Dolores Cannon and her galactic being stuff. That's what they call it now. And how she must have been ridiculed and tortured and abused just to share the information with the like-minded people that were around her. I don't know how her family treated her, or even those that aren't awakened to the awakening yet, that think they know it all, and that come to the knowing, and maybe it's too late. Maybe it's like me. I said, Mom, why didn't you tell me? Like, why did you not tell me? You were afraid what? That I would lock you up in an asylum? If you would have told me, yeah, that was a ghost pinching my ass, I was like, okay, I saw it, Mom. I saw it. I literally saw it. Instead of somebody trying to program in my head that she possibly had schizophrenia. Because I remember my sister and I having that conversation. And my sister said, no, she doesn't. I'm like, okay. There's something of a greater source that puppeteers, plays with people's lives beyond most people's comprehension. So now there's this, there's this prejudice separation, because there are those with tattoos and those that are not, those that are marijuana, those that are not. What? You're not God's child because you have tattoos and you may use marijuana? And then I'm reminded today how I ridiculed my son when he was a teenager for using marijuana. I worked in mental health for so many years. It's like one of those taboos, right? You're taught that you could have a psychosis, this could happen, that can happen. Well, what do you really know until you experience it yourself? And even then, the data is not correct. I've been off medical marijuana since December. of 2020 when tragedy struck. Excruciating tragedy. But I know that my involvement with spirituality with the wrong people, because there are good people, and there are evil people in spirituality. There are those that will puppeteer and have you feel sorry for them, have you program in thinking certain things that are not true, and you have to use discernment and say, okay, there's two sides to this. Maybe 3, maybe 4, maybe 5, maybe 6, maybe 7, maybe 8, and more. And expanding your perspective in a wide lens beyond even your human comprehension through what we call this, a conscientious heart. It's a conscientious heart. I am very conscientious. I am upset because us human beings choose to be evil. We do things. It's like earlier I'm hearing how somebody invoked these spells so that they can win over the love of someone. They find out. Don't do it. It's like they showed that old program when I was a teenager and the eggs frying on a pan. It says, this is your brain on drugs. Okay, I'll stay away from it. Alcohol and drugs? They say marijuana is not a drug. I don't know. I'm not the expert in that area. They don't even have enough collective data. They're trying to, don't get me wrong. There are those that are puppeteering and stuff. They call it devil's lettuce. And I was trying to figure that out today. What is really the devil's lettuce? Is this the brains of human beings that place judgment upon others? Causing them pain and suffering, thinking they know better? Thinking they can compare their experiences with others? They can't. We're all unique in our own rights. These experiences with one another wouldn't be possible if it wasn't for us all being unique human beings on this planet. I have bared witness. Even as a sir, would call me. I had that aha moment when I saw the post, and there's some lovely posts out there that are wanting people to be aware, to pray. Even myself, in the past, I remember, in the past, where I was in a situation where I had to call on Angel Ariel, I went in another room. There was somebody ready not only to take their life, but to take the lives of others. I went in the room and I screamed, Angel Ariel! And she did. She came. And more people are alive because of it. There's so many situations. Why I didn't call on them today, I don't know. Even myself, I said to my own son, take a look around. You'll know me just by taking a look around what surrounds me. And he couldn't even look around. I'm like, what is controlling him? Who downwinded on him? The exhaustion? I have a feeling I know who. And I'm not paranoid about this. It's after what he shared with me an experience. And people were shitty towards him because he has tattoos on his hands and bearing judgment, assuming he's gang affiliated and assuming those names were lies he had taken and they were rude because of that. They need to take a hard look at themselves. Don't get me wrong. I have compassion and love for those who have been through the residential school system. I know of those that have been through a similar system. And they talked about it in Saskatchewan. And they don't even have to be in a school system. They could be behind closed doors. There are people that have been children of priests. They have been children of reverends. They have been children of all walks of life. They have been behind closed doors, abused in manners. You can't even friggin' imagine, but yet maybe you can for anyone who may be watching this. When does that filtration of the ancestral stop flowing down? When does it stop and say enough is enough? When these spirits find their way home? Really, when is enough enough? Because of their curiosity, because of their fear? Go home. And I feel it, you see. You can't put that in the DSM. Just like the vision of seeing someone, and then you're like, okay, how is this going to resonate a day or two later? You can't put in the DSM certain dreams that come through. You cannot put in the DSM that before you walk down the stairs and you hear a door unlock, that somebody actually unlocks the door. Our medical system has failed us. I pray it's on the mend. It's failed me. There are those that play trickery, and I'll never forget. At the Operational Stress Injury Clinic, there was a man who was suicidal. His comrade had died by suicide, who also served. There was a big O group of people. And what a terminology of O group is, it's like a big meeting in a circle. And so everybody went, and this is military, veterans, retired, however you want to put it, active service members, going around. Each person shared what was going on for them that week. He was one of the first that was heard. Not one, but two psychologists were in the room. And that was brought up as a reminder for me, maybe to tell my story, my experiences. Went around the room. One female cook starts to talk about drugs on the base. They continue on. Everybody shares. This beautiful soul, he's creating pens with wood. I don't know where mine is. I'm sure I still have it, and I'm grateful for it. And then goes around, comes up to me. I share, but at the same time, keep in mind, this person gets up. He's walking out now. I don't even know if we completely did the whole circle. And I know, instinctively, I get up too. I follow him. I get him to contract with me to be safe, to keep in touch with me, and to make sure he was okay. And he said, this is all bullshit. And he was very upset. And he, of course, had every right to be upset. I walked in the room, blaring mad. I said, what the fuck is wrong with all of you? I swear to God, each and every person in that room didn't know what hit them, especially the psychologists. There was nothing at the time in place for anything to do with how to react with someone in a suicidal situation who was dealing with psychosocial stressors at that time. And they just let him walk out the door. If it wasn't for me being the mover and shaker I am, and I swear to God, I do not want to be that mover and shaker I've been throughout my lifetime. and I get shown of what kind of change I have created. They do now. The last time I was at the Operational Stress Injury Clinic, I spoke to a psychiatrist, and he ended up getting me incarcerated, put in the hospital. There are people out there that place shame and guilt on people. They talk badly about people. These people themselves have lost their shit behind closed doors. The only difference between them and me and those that have experienced what I have experienced being in the hospital is our freedom was taken away in a different way. And they shame us. They place judgment upon us like we're second-class citizens. And those of us that are professionals stand our strength and our strong and say no more. My freedom was taken from me. I was of sound in mind, even when they did the assessment. And then they did it again. And they said, okay, when the doctor comes, I'm sure you'll be able to go home. It was over 3 weeks later. No fresh air for over a week because I did not choose to smoke. What got me through? Dharma teachings. What got me through? A visit from a monastery monk who said, you do not belong here. What got me through? Writing out the love and kindness on a board and praying and chanting. What got me through? The golden tears that I had to release in the back room because I have been abused so much in my life. No more. Even spirit played trickery on my family. And I've heard, and I've kept this quiet, and I've heard other people talk ill regarding ill intent about another person who's a nurse that went in hospital not once but twice. And I was asked to go to connect with this person, and this other person had no idea. Had no idea. Just knows of me professionally. You have to be careful what you share and who you share with. Because they will place you in a box and they will trap you. And the next thing you know, you use like a guinea pig. Even the staff, I could hear them. I knew. Why isn't she home yet? Even when I asked the staff, I said, do not call my son, call the monastery. My son doesn't know me. It was me that had to reach out to ask him to come for a visit. So some of these doctors at these hospitals are awakened. They know they're suffering right now. They know. They know there are those that have abilities that are gifted, that have what we call dark spirits that sometimes attach, because we get attacked so violently in different ways. Even spiritualists will attack one another. It's almost like you've got demons after demons, and I won't be any part of it. God edges me out just in time in certain situations. And so we live this life feeling like we've been so betrayed. We betrayed one another. We rob ourselves from the love and kindness we so deserve living human being experiences because it's not easy. When you're told by a monk, like I was once a monk, he was once a monk in Sedona, and he said, don't say anything bad about anyone. He was so bang on about that. I didn't understand. So for years and years and years, I wouldn't dare say a bad thing about my ex. I would not. I mean, he became selfish. I became selfless in our divorce matters. I just wouldn't say, and there were times where I just had to write it out. I had to do it differently, but I didn't want to bash him. And then it was just not too long ago, a few times where it was like I had to release it with someone. And I even see it wasn't him or himself or his fault. Those that understand that there are those that puppeteer human mankind get this. They so get this. There was a time I remember being like locked in a cage in a birdhouse. Thank God for having a roof over my head, having my own privacy, and saying no to spirit. Banging on a drum, doing whatever I could. Because when my marriage broke up, so did every relationship. He wished me to rot in hell. He didn't know what he was saying off the lips of his mouth while he was texting to me. He didn't know what he was doing when he was raging and literally could have been put behind bars. And I don't want this conversation to turn into that, because I don't want to cause any more pain and suffering that's already been caused in my family. That's why I asked with the ancestral, whose ancestral mess are we cleaning up here? Like, really? There are many amongst us that are true of the rich and famous that play trickery on people. They have to live with that. And there are those that are not, and they also have to live with that. There are those of us that are struggling financially, and there are those that are not. There's such a separation. There are those of us that choose to be good, and there are those that choose to not. But again, who are we to bear judgment when we really do not know? Everyone wants to be seen. Everybody wants to be heard. But there are those that want to go beyond it and want to become famous. They get in their little kerfuffles because they think they know better. They think they are better. Anybody at any time can be in a crisis and have everything taken away from them. Everything. Be put in a gown and have everything taken from them that they so loved. There are those, the love and kindness prayer, may you be free from jealousy. There are those that will not admit to their jealousy because it's fear involved. It's covered up with fear, and they themselves don't even know. Everybody's trying to prove something, and they really don't need to. But when you're tied down in a way, when you're being judged, when you're being nitpicked, it's like a survival mechanism. And you're like, I'm not making this shit up. I have enough evidence. It's like, what kind of life did Sir Arthur Conan Doyle really live? Love through the lens? I don't know. Don't get me started in past life regressions or parallel lives or all this knowledge-based stuff that I have. Everything from the shamanism courses that I've taken to the hypnotherapy and past life regression to, oh my God, the healing modality courses, to you name it. When has become enough? I've spent thousands of dollars. I could have got my doctorate. And by what? Supporting everyone else's dream? Don't get me wrong, I still am. I'm getting into sound healing because that is what got me through when I was trapped in a bird cage, all alone, with no one but the spirit that haunted me. And I got through it. And I'm talking about excruciatingly painful suffering, mental and physical attacks, like they call it spiritual warfare. I mean, there's war and genocides that are going on, and there's a whole different war on top of all that. And nobody wants anyone to know this stuff. They have underground communication for this kind of stuff. And that's why they say, don't share this with your family. Because there's family that will not understand. Well, then how is our family supposed to understand? My mom left a special, my mom, what she was in the knowing. Why did she have to gameplay? Why couldn't she just come forward and say what she needed to say? Because she was abused her whole life. With a grade 6 education, not wanting to go to school. At times having a problem with enunciation of things. So do I. Stop correcting people in their enunciation or anything or everything or even placing judgment upon those. But then I'm supposed to say thank you for the gift. Be thankful and grateful. Because with that, there's something magnificent that's about to happen. Yes, thank you. Thank you for this. It's all part of the life experience, and we're all going to cross over, and then religion's not going to matter. What color you are is not going to matter because you're not taking this vessel with you. You're not taking it with you. You'll take your conscious, you'll take the memories of what is. But you're not taking the vessel. Unless you're really attached. And there are ways in the old days they used to do to make sure that the spirit left the body because the heart stopped. Now they use the defibrillator at least to make sure for sure before they announce someone's death. For some of you, this may be greater than your understanding. There is wealth in experiences. There's some beautiful people out there in the spiritual community, and I keep persevering. I had to stop going to the church that I was attending. Not because of what I thought it was. There's some good and there's some evil. And they soon enough will know. And that light little whisper that said, you're not going back there, knew why more than I did. And I have to have faith in my guidance. Clairaudience, clairsentience. Oh, we can go through all the clairs if need be. I've been told by another medium, yeah, you do. And then you know, but she doesn't even know or remember what it was she tells you. That's what can happen with mediums. So there are those that are really, really good at it. So please don't bash them for what they're doing. Please see the human being that they are as well. Accept what it is and see that there are those human beings that are saying that mediums even, that they're like they're devils because they communicate with the dead and that they're bringing messages of loved ones. They help with healing. Now, don't get me wrong, there are some that are quite the tricksters, that are sorcerers. They play havoc with people's lives because they want to save themselves and be famous amongst all else. But there are those that have their journey, they've traveled, that are very, very good at what they do. And sometimes they will say things to themselves and to others to try to manifest that too. See how that shift and change in my communication can happen? That's a clear knowing. It's like knowing that spirit is here right now with me. I'm not diagnosed with schizophrenia or personality disorder. Just know this to be true, and I never will be. I will be talking to my doctor about this and making sure some way that I have the legal rights to never, ever, ever be forced. And I mean be forced. No, I wasn't discombobulated. I was not disoriented. I was not discombatant. I was calm. I was my mystic Buddhist self. And like no to medication when I was in hospital. And they refused. The charge nurse and one of the nurses said, if you do not take it, we are going to give you we're going to hold you down and we're going to give you a higher dose. That's inhumane. The Pali Sutras got me through. There's no doubt. It's like paying homage to Buddha. It's like Namo Tase Bhagavato Rereto Sammasambuddhassa. And saying that 3 times. And just being, and also the love and kindness. And being cordial and nice and listening. And then I found myself just being there and hearing people's stories. And they were all walks of life. And don't get me wrong, while I was in there, as soon as I walked through the doors, there was a girl that appeared like she had a broken neck and she was in pain and suffering. She touched my hand and she said, healer or medical medium or one of those anyway. She said it and it kind of threw me off because I just didn't want to be there. I even did a poem. I even avoided those that tried to hijack my body energetically. Some people sign themselves in there and then they're there and then they're like, okay, you know what? I can go home now. And then they're told no. So you kind of wonder what kind of experimental stuff is going on. That person moved out of the province and I don't blame them. It's such a disgrace. Not only, I mean, I'm guilty of it. I work mental health, but for some reason, maybe it was the partners I worked with, especially one that my heart goes out to. Because he is a good person, but I feel like something is going on and dealing with all that is, with the rise in the addictions. And is it being miscalculated is what I wonder? Like, are they putting medical marijuana under addictions? And so there's people walking around that are full of rage and anger that maybe need medical marijuana to help them sleep, amongst other things. I can't believe I'm saying this and being free of it. And I'm not giving you any medical advice, none of you. There's people that CBD oil kept my dog alive as long as it could. It had epilepsy. I took good care of him. My son brought that up today and thought that I killed him. And I said I was under that tree praying for my dog to live. And I felt I was cursed because of it. Because it was not that long after he died. And so there are these people in spirituality that play witchcraft, trickery, sorcery. I'm being blocked in the other terminology that's used. And it's evil. Warlocks. And I don't want to even place judgment upon it myself because I know it comes at a cost. It's against the law. And yet here I am. I know there's good and there's evil in everything. I didn't at one time. Back then I was so innocent. 28 years plus with someone. We as a family came together because we had went through so much hardship already. Both being ex-military, we had went through so much heartache. And I was working hard in my spirituality to be a better person, listening to the audios, the CDs, to be the best person. It was like I was not broken. I was on the mend, doing everything in my power. Even to a point where I got myself, where I was on this, where I was like at the OSI, and then I went to work for mental health and changed my life. But then, you know, this shit happened and I had to walk away from my job. Many years later. And the point being, though, is there's so much more than what meets the eye. For me, it's love through the lens, and I have to remain that way. And it can be very painful at times. And I'll leave it at that. I just know that humans are conditioned to want to be in so much control and be so judgmental. And it's because they've been hurt. Once they lift away that pain and suffering and that hurt, they're on the mend. And even better than that, they and I just know I used to do these videos before and I erased all of them, and they were freaking magnificent when I was a bird in a cage. Pure love. If only you knew. If you were carrying this vessel, and if you have faith in Jesus Christ, Yahshua, Christos, whatever, I mean, many, 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 many names leading you the way. I'm not saying I'm Jesus Christ, but just say in your heart, there's a piece of him. Just like when you wear a pendant of someone you love that's crossed. Now you have him. Let's say you have Ascending Master Jesus. Let's say you have Ascending Master Buddha. Let's say you have Archangel Sandalphon, Archangel Metatron, and even continue from there. Even if you were go to the east, and still within you You have Archangel Raphael and Archangel Michael himself that always has your back. Archangel Gabriel to the west of you, that's there right by your side, right there with Buddha. Archangel Uriel, leading the way, almost like a scroll, like a path, there, just showing you the way. These angels, these ascending masters, these galactic beings, they're all doing stuff. And I queried it today, where were you? Because I've been in other situations before where I sat in the murky waters while I was being yelled and screamed at, and I didn't say a word. I've been in situations before in front of a crowd where somebody just, it's almost like an anteater. And you're the ant and it's trying to chomp you up and you're running for your life. But you have something greater that comes in and, walls. Maybe you're the queen and there's a bunch of ants and they build up these big walls around you. I don't know. But I know Ascending Master Buddha and Lord Maitreya was there for me that day. There's no doubt about it. And there was a Buddhist inside me that I was able to walk away with my pride. Like someone in a school ground being bullied really bad while onlookers watched. And yet it wasn't even about the two. At the time, it was somebody in the audience stirring it up. And so we do, moving forward, of compassion. My plan was to stay here for 5 years, and I am battling stuff in this house where the previous owner, the flipper, has done unethical things, moved walls, done things all without permits. And now I'm not sure what I'm going to do. Part of me feels like moving on the other side of the world. And yet, it's like that little saying, right? Stop, take a step back, observe and process. There's so much programming in me. And what I'm talking about programming is everything from opening a book and being educated, opening an article and reading about it, and having all these facts. We all have different interests in what we love. So we're going to find like-minded people that understand us, that love and like the same thing, that we can have hours and hours of conversations about. And then there are those that you don't. It all depends on what you decide to take in. And so I know today was a very good day of mirroring, a good experience. And I was told, why didn't you put your mirrors up? Because I don't want to cause any pain or suffering. That's like sorcery, witchcraft stuff. And then people are kind of shaking their heads going, what just happened? Was I just tricked? Like, what just happened? What happened? And you're there dumbfounded by things where you were puppeteered. And you wonder, how is this possible? How do people live with themselves every day? Can we not just all, and is there such thing as normal? Just be love and kindness? But no, everything comes in again. There's dark and there's light. It's the experience. It's as it's meant to exactly be. It all has to do with karma. It has to do with forgiveness. How much pain and suffering do we have to endure? I remember a monk once telling me, Some people are just born and they go through their whole life with pain and suffering. They do everything right. They follow virtues, they follow preceptors, and they just are so, so good. And they're so good, like so beyond good human beings. They would help anyone that needs a lending hand. They won't even play trickery with it. They will just do the right thing that comes right from here. And then they have to learn the lesson of not being betrayed, not being taken for granted. And gosh forbid, learn the lesson. You're not a victim. You're not a victim. Oh my gosh, there's been teachers out there where I give their teams a hack, not them. Saying, why are you manifesting this for human mankind and evolution? Now we've got this huge wave and we're all in the ocean and some of us are drowning and some of us are riding the waves. Heck, probably some of us are snorkelers, enjoying everything we see and just seers. I don't know. Not that I think it's neutral. It's like you don't even... It's like, I don't want to even get into that. I even told my son today, and I'll stop talking because you know what? That's the thing. I'm so hard on myself. I have a gift to communicate and teach and share because I've had so much experiences that are so out there that most are like, just give me an answer. Help me out. Why am I experiencing this? And other people go, come see me. We'll have a session. And they feel that's their worth. That's their wealth, the financial means that they obtain from doing it. I don't know. I'm just one of those people. If somebody's needing help right now, I don't mind the barter system. Let's help each other out. But I know we live in a time where there's mortgages, there's other things. So I'm the person that helps support people and their dreams. So why am I not there helping my son? Why do I keep on getting blocked? Where I last see him how long? Where he met my dog at Christmas. And then I see him today. And we're what? March 20th? The tidal wave came in and drowned our relationship. Drowned it heavily. My sister would understand this lingo. It's taught by many teachers in the spiritual community. There are those puppeteering and tearing families apart. But what, and it's not even their fault, some of them. It's the knowledge base and what they've been taught. I'm not here to tear anyone's family apart. I never did. I never did. My intentions were never to tear anybody's family apart. There are those that are the game players that will lie. Literally, they'll lie about their name. They'll even lie about their date of birth. They'll lie about their residence. They'll lie about who they're even friends with. They'll label, they'll do things that are so beyond unethical. And a long time ago, I don't know if it was 2018, 2019, someone told me that in like 5 years or so, these game players are starting to die off. because the universe won't have it anymore. So there are people that get entrapped. So I see it. So I go that extra mile where I'm of love and kindness, even with friendship with others. And they're getting trapped in a trickery way where they're not them or themselves. So then, it's like, I just call Babaji and Master Jesus. There's a warfare on those dying by suicide because those awakening to the awakening do not want to be labeled, do not want to be placed in any category. Even for those that may have memory loss, they hear something from a doctor, they go home and they hang themselves. They don't have supports like they used to. Thank God some people are married or have supports in place. Those that don't, I've been in situations where I've been around someone and I'm like, how can you resonate with bullet wounds? And this was quite some time ago last year, but either way, I'm giving you an example of tangible stuff. And then the person denies it, and then I see in the back of their leg, they have an actual wound where a bullet was there. They just weren't ready to even share or talk about it. And that's okay. They were always willing to receive before. But again, trapped in a trickery game of things. And so, even resonating with somebody on the phone today, I said, I just want you to know you may want to use some holy water in your stuff. And I told her another ingredient. And I said, and here are 2 different people that are doing this product as well. One in Alberta and one in Ottawa. Please connect with them. What this person doesn't know is when I put down the product, something came out that wasn't of love and kindness. And so right away, it was like, okay, get the holy water, do the Lord's Prayer. I know this sounds nuts. And another herbal ingredient. And this is a herbal specialist that has been doing this for many, many, many years. So people will cast hacks and curses on people's products. So I did the noble thing, reached out. She was very appreciative. And I told her when I held the product, I told her a little bit about what came to me because I was able to read it. And I could hear her child. And so I told her how important it is to, do what was necessary to make sure and to reach out to these 2 other people that have been in the line of creation of the product, and so that she can get help. Because she deserves, after that many years of putting forth as a herbalist in her product, to reach out to the 2 others to make sure that those are the dark, they call them dark faces, dark forces, whatever, don't try to take down her business due to jealousy and control and manipulation. There are some people that are not well that go around do this. They'll go around imprinting people's things and do curses and hacks where they're not them or themselves, and they get themselves trapped. And then it's like people lose their privacy and everything else. Some of this stuff you won't understand. Some of it you will. I'm thinking of Big Brother Canada and the guy who's like, wake up, Canada, way back in the time with the big eye. Somebody's always watching. The guy knew how to play the game. He knew how. Some people do have telepathic abilities. I'm not saying he does. I'm just saying, I know I've been in situations where I said, did I hear that correctly? And confirm with them, and they said, yes. That you can't put in the DSM. And that's a little bit of my ego coming back and going, apply F you. But then, who am I serving by being that way? That's not of love and kindness. It's bearing judgment. See, that's human. It's just to be kind to myself. Just to be kind to myself. there are those that have been, for example, in the monastery, like my mom. My mom was in an abusive relationship. I was in the military at the time when she finally left. I remember going home when I was in college. I would go home and I would see my sister, because she's 5 years younger. I remember there was an incident that happened, and I called the police. And I said, Mom, if you don't place charges this time. And I walked out those doors, and I never walked back into that house. And my dad was arrested. I forgive my dad. He wasn't him or himself. I see the history of his dad in the Second World War, the alcoholism, him having to make it out on his own at 14 years old. And then at 23 years old, having kids, and now having 6 kids to raise. He did pretty good considering. He even volunteered in the Salvation Army later in life, did his thing. He always stayed away from the alcohol, and good for him on that. And seeing the good. There was a time I remember calling home, and I so badly wanted to talk to my mom, and my mom wasn't there for me. At least my dad was. It wasn't my mom's fault. My mom had went through things, back to what I was saying, when she left him. She went to a nunnery, like a place where nuns helped out. And I wonder to this day if they open her psychic channels and things change drastically for her. So when I say that I have compassion for the residential schooling, but not only for that, for other things as well, I know even myself, I had went to a monastery for help, and I felt like these nuns, this just wasn't, there was only one. What I seen before my eyes was only one nice nun who invited me to lunch, and another one uninviting me, because there was a lady that I used to see as a healer who was part of the trickery that made me feel like a gaping hole in my side, was part of the trickery that ended up separating my ex and I, playing witchcraft in a way I can't even describe. I don't believe she was alone. This is true. Causing my ex and I to separate, so that I can end up with someone else that is spiritual and famous, and help them evolve, so I could be behind the scenes, which I would have been okay with, but at the same time, no, I was very much in love. We had come through so much after 27 and a half years of marriage. And he would say to me, keep doing what you're doing. You make me better, not bitter. I love you more today than the day I married you. I remember before we broke up, we were in this restaurant. This lady had died of breast cancer, and her sister and them were keeping it going in Selkirk. And we were sitting, we're having lunch, and my ex was off to go and work on the house while I went back to the house in East Selkirk. And these 2 women looked at us. And I didn't even know, because him and I were lost in our own conversation, our own thing. And we said our goodbyes, and he went off, and these ladies were behind me. He might have heard. And they said, it's so beautiful to see the love that you both have for each other. And I mean, at one point I thought I seen the corner of my eyes. They were both kind of like, oh, and I was like, okay. Not realizing what I had, but also knowing that it's okay to let that go. I've moved on, because trust me, I've had some relationships, 2 in particular, both warlocks, having the interest that I had, but one got way too carried away. Even the other, I think, got tortured in a different way. Even myself, I wasn't me or myself. It's time for me, and it has been for now a little while, and I'm proud. I I hired people to help me. I bought this house. I'm handling the mortgage. I'm handling my bills. I'm doing all that I need to do. I'm caring for a puppy now. It was thrown in my face about another dog I had that I put up for adoption. I was tortured by spirit. This dog was and is so magnificent. Maybe it's time I send some pictures. And there are those in the family that like to stir up shit when they don't know. They don't know. They have no idea. Some of them have been earthbound and they've stirred up shit when they were alive and they're still doing it, being earthbound. And then they go to the other side where they can get some education in a different way. And then they recreate. And they see the creation of others is what I was taught. And they get some rest. And that life review from a whole different angle. Again, I have to go because I know I have a gift to gab. And not to be shamed for that. So many people are shamed for that. And then you wonder about those that are silent and you put them on a pedestal and you think, once you get in the mind of a silent person, are we even to compare right now? Or those that are outgoing and those that are not, that are shy? Why are we programmed to think, oh, that person is so shy that we should have such compassion for them? Oh, that person's really outgoing. Eee. Isn't that disgusting? We're picking apart characteristics, qualities, things about each other as human beings, living life experiences. That's what we're doing. We're picking each other apart. How inhumane is that? We have to look right down deep here. I have done it so many times. So many times. I will no longer be labeled. I can go through all those qualifications, tell you how I specialize in addictions and community service work, and all the education and everything like a resume. That may mean shit. If you are the type to cause ill regard and ill intent, if you are the type to be jealous and lash out with a laser tongue, it doesn't mean shit. It's just like, okay, I got to do this all over again so I can be a better person. We've all been hurt. We just have to be really cautious in what we watch and absorb. There's many of us that don't even want to watch TV, that just want to connect with Mother Nature, go on hikes, go on walks, eat well, heck, have a kitchen, a chicken coop of ducks, find different ways of wellness. Why is it us human beings feel the need to gossip? And never mind being abused and said, don't boast about the things that you know or you do, and we're talking in a cruel way. Trust me, in spirituality, I've put up with abuse. And that can go with any faith. It doesn't matter if you're Jehovah Witness, it doesn't matter if you're Catholic, United, Protestant. You'd be surprised. People put up with abuse surrounding them. And I have to have hope that that changes. And be in faith of what is. It is beyond love and kindness. But I'll tell you, love and kindness, the more you say it, the more you absorb it, it helps you with that sense of freedom. I can't be this passive-aggressive person, which I know I've been in the past. Because it all comes out. The truth comes out anyway. I asked for the Great White Council of Karma to come forward. I have a coin that, like, it's a stone. These stones are very precious. I have a collection of them. And when they're drawn out, it's like, oh, here we go. We're riding a wave. And it literally manifests in that way. Most people wouldn't understand that. I used to love this movie called Beautiful Mind. When I worked mental health, I thought, wow. Now I despise it. Because anything and everything that's fascinating, it's like I turn around, I look around, and I'll be driving and I'll see license plates and I'll add up the numbers. And then I'll see another one and I'm like, add up that number. And then while I'm stopped or whatever the case may be. And I'm like, boop, 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 boop. Oh, look at that. They're all matching numbers in numerology. Does that mean I'm bad? No, that means I'm trying to keep my mind going so that I can keep memory so I don't get messed with on top of all other things. Because when you're a channeler, and never mind if I am to tell you, even as a medium, my son's never even seen this. Transmediumship, you can end up, people may think it's demonic, but it's not. But you can end up sounding entirely like somebody different. You could even get a walk-in from a medium and sound exactly like them. Exactly like them. How is it the vocal cords can change like that? And we're not talking personality disorder stuff here. That's why you'll see some mediums, they'll stick to one, like as transmedium. They'll say, okay, this is my collective team. Can you imagine what it took them to get where they are to finally go, okay, spirit, we got to just consistency here. Because if we start sounding like all these different people, they're going to want to slap a label on us. Some people get out of free jail card. Some people don't. Anyway, I do have to say thank you to those who have been loving and supportive of me on this journey. I'm not suicidal. Not being like my sleeping aid. I'm so thankful for a sleeping aid. If I didn't have a sleeping aid, spirits would taunt me so badly that it probably would put me in a psychosis. But at the same time, I'm thankful for it. And that's what people don't understand. There's a fine line. There's a fine line with this stuff. Can you not respect it? Can these doctors not respect it? Because I'll tell you, there's enough witches, warlocks, sorcerers that can cast hex and spells on you that you're going, I've seen it. I've seen it with my own eyes. I've seen doctors like hypnotized. I've seen doctors spinning in ways they're like getting files mixed up. I've seen doctors go like crazy stuff. There's more. in the medical field, and things have happened to me, even right up to this titanium in my breast. Like crazy stuff. Some say there are those that are watchers, not affiliating it and attaching it to the Bible. That's why they call it SEERs here. Crazy stuff. Like, if I was to even share with you, it's mind-blowing. There are people that have died, things are covered up, and some things are not. So that's why I think these dark forces try to get people incarcerated, because God forbid these medical situations that I've been through, they're unethical. So they want it to look like you're the crazy one. And that's the real sad part of it all. And then when you cross over, there are those that see those that are in the front line and they go, bravo, good job. You did a great job in your role, in what you did, as in helping rise, evolve, evolution. And then there are those who are like, and by the way, yeah, you were part of the reason why that person died by suicide. I was taught differently in mental health. No, their choice, their blah, 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 blah. But at the same time, we're all linked together. And some of us human beings can be really nasty and cruel and tricked into it. But then there is a difference between those intentional that are so angry, explosive, that cause such pain and suffering upon one another, that some people end up killing people, to a point where people can think something and you never want that to unfold. And so I'm being brought up a reminder. Stop with judging those with tattoos. Enough's enough. Everybody has an experience. Those that don't thinking God saved you. Are we not all God's children? Are we not all Creator's children? No one's going to take anyone's faith away from them. The only person that takes their own faith away from them is themselves. So let's just hope for one another. And there's people that have died by suicide, and people query if it was accidental or not. See how Spirit came through with me and my little eyebrow went up? Even thinking way back to when an RCMP officer took his life. He was there when this man went mad and took a life of another. And he's seen all that stuff. I call it demonic shit that went on and went down there. And then he did not have what we call Maslow's hierarchy of needs, support from his workplace. And he died by suicide. Because his coworkers, RCMP, were not supportive of him and his choice to use medical marijuana to cope with what it was he was experiencing. So then you have these people, even that work in places like jails, that are bearing judgment upon others, till they're in their own shoes. And even then, we cannot compare ourselves to anyone else. Not to anyone else. after my son left, there was a spirit here that had to leave and did and said it was sorry. Literally, I felt like as if a rope was around my neck, but I persevered. I laid on the couch. I said nothing. It was like labor breathing. I'm told there's a woman that's dying in the hospital of cancer, and then she walked in. What a demonic thing to do. And she said she's feeling more pain than I am. So obviously there's a lot of unresolved stuff that person needed to face or is having to face before dying. Maybe just awakening to the awaken of what is. And I hear, I'm sorry. Best not to be earthbound and cross over, because otherwise they're cheating themselves from the experience that they're meant to continue on experiencing and not be attached to the humans that they were obviously living a life experience with. It's like cutting the cord, untouching, however it may be. Not to be insensitive about it by any means. There's just as much, there's death doulas that help spirit into the light. I feel like there are those that are putting up a lot of blocks and barriers trying to puppeteer my son and where he's the head. And I'll tell you, I know myself, when I worked in mental health, I was going to go and I applied. I was going to be, well, I had done guarding before. I had done a practicum in a prison before. I was going to go work for the prison and leave mobile crisis. And I remember one of my coworkers kind of saved me and said, it's not always greener on the other side. And I even remember having patients before, firefighters, like different professions, nurses. Yeah. Those that felt like they were incarcerated themselves every time they went to work as guards. And so I'm not breaching by telling you who and what the situation was. I would always keep it so confidential with the personal health information. I cannot say a thing. There's a lot of hurting people out there that think they've got this. And I just cannot, again, bear judgment whatsoever. I have experienced things that seem so out there. And I've survived it too. And I can tell the difference because it's almost like, as I talked about those professions and just said what I said, okay? It's like big stabs of swords in my side. Like big stabs of swords. But it subsides because it sounds strange, but I have faith and belief in the guide that I'm looking at right now, but also this book. So I call on Archangel Michael to do his thing in Elmira. But it's more than this, because I have read this book, as in I listened to the audio, and I have 3 different books. One I had written in like multiple times. Another one I started writing in. A third one I'm like, okay, I gotta keep this for my guests. I don't like to call them patients. Guests. And so, because I don't see myself any different than them. I don't know about you, but I'm sick and tired of hearing people use the word clients or patients. Because you wouldn't have a job without them. They may be teaching you a few things. It doesn't make you any better. Like my old coworker taught me, anyone can be in a crisis at any time. And I'm not going to use that as a taboo word. So many people have dirty little secrets they're hiding under the carpet, and I'm not allowed to say anything. How many people knew before someone was going to walk in and do a school shooting? How can you let that rest on your consciousness and not do something about it? Like, because you know why? These people blame each other. They play trickery and they're all trying to climb like Jacob's ladder. Who is better at this? It's insane. It's like all the classes I've ever been at. Even when I was at the Operation Stress Injury Clinic, and I remember they were all RCMP, but myself, at one time, at one of the classes, they were all RCMP, but one medic and myself. I guess we were an experiment. And I look back at one of this guy and his stories, and I'm like, oh, Lord love a duck. He wasn't crazy. He was very intuitive. Very, very, very intuitive. His instincts were bang on, and they were trying to drive him crazy. To this day, I wondered if he died by suicide, because my heart told me he did, and I reached out to somebody and I said, did he? And I used to have his phone number, and there was one time, you know how you go through your phone and you're like, okay, clean slate, I'm gonna, move on. They do say there's a brigade in the golden temples in heavens above, so maybe he's there. Just like some others that I know that have died by accidental, suicide, murder, cancer, many, many ways. There was a time I said I knew more people of the dead than of the living. And anyway, I said way, way back that I'd stop. I'm going to stop now. The clam needs to be shut with me in it.